Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you are in this world. God bless you. This is Gloria White coming to you from Utah, USA. Today we're continuing in the book of 2 Kings in the New Jerusalem Holy Bible, and we are in chapter 15, starting in verse 13. The reign of Shallum in Israel, 743. Shallum, son of Jabesh, became king in the 39th year of Uzziah, king of Judah, and reigned for 1 month in Samaria. Then Menahem, son of Gadi, marched from Tisra, entered Samaria, murdered Shallum, son of Jabesh, there and succeeded him. The rest of the history of Shallum and the plot he hatched is recorded in the book of the Annals of the Kings of Israel. Menahem then sacked Tappuah, killing all who were in it and its territory from Tisra onwards, because it had not opened its gates to him. He sacked the town and disemboweled all the pregnant women. The reign of Menahem in Israel, 743 to 738. In the 39th year of Uzziah, king of Judah, Menahem, son of Gadi, became king of Israel. He reigned for 10 years in Samaria. He did what is displeasing to Yahweh. He did not give up the sins into which Jeroboam, son of Nebat, had led Israel. In his days, Pul, king of Assyria, invaded the country. Menahem gave Pul 1,000 talents of silver in return for his support in strengthening his hold on the royal power. Menahem levied this sum from Israel, from all the men of rank, at the rate of 50 shekels a head, to be given to the king of Assyria, who then withdrew and did not stay in the country. The rest of the history of Menahem, his entire career, is this not recorded in the book of the Annals of the Kings of Israel? Then Menahem fell asleep with his ancestors. His son, Pekahiah, succeeded him. The reign of Pekahiah in Israel, 738 to 737. In the 50th year of Uzziah, king of Judah, Pekahiah, son of Menahem, became king of Israel in Samaria. He reigned for 2 years. He did what is displeasing to Yahweh. He did not give up the sins into which Jeroboam, son of Nebat, had led Israel. Pekah, son of Remaliah, his inquiry, plotted against him and assassinated him in the palace. He had 50 Gileadites with him. He killed the king and succeeded him. The rest of the history of Pekahiah, his entire career, is recorded in the book of the Annals of the Kings of Israel. The reign of Pekah in Israel, 737 to 732. In the 52nd year of Uzziah, king of Judah, Pekah, son of Remaliah, became king of Israel in Samaria. He reigned for 20 years. He did what is displeasing to Yahweh. He did not give up the sins into which Jeroboam, son of Nebat, had led Israel. In the days of Pekah, king of Israel, Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, came and captured Ijon, Abel Beth Maachah, Jeoah, Kedesh, Hazor, Gilead, and Galilee, the whole territory of Naphtali and deported the population to Assyria. Hosea, son of Elah, hatched a plot against Pekah, son of Remaliah. He murdered the king and succeeded him. The rest of the history of Pekah, his entire career, is recorded in the book of the Annals of the Kings of Israel. We can see that a lot of people are coming to power simply by assassination. It has nothing to do with Yahweh appointing them, that I can tell. Sometimes Yahweh just takes his hand away and lets the people, sin and fall deeper into sin. And then he'll send somebody to warn them if they're lucky. And if they're good, they'll turn back. If not, they'll continue in their sins until Yahweh pronounces judgment, which is where I think America is right now. The reign of Jotham in Judah, 740 to 736. In the second year of Pekah, son of Remaliah, king of Israel, Jotham, son of Uzziah, became king of Judah. He was 25 years old when he came to the throne, and he reigned for 16 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jerusha, daughter of Zadok. He did what Yahweh regards as right, just as his father Uzziah had done. The high places, however, were not abolished, and the people still offered sacrifices and incense on the high places. It was he who built the upper gate of the temple of Yahweh. The rest of the history of Jotham, his entire career, is this not recorded in the book of Annals of the Kings of Judah? At that time Yahweh began sending Rezon, king of Aram, and Pekah, son of Remaliah, against Judah. Then Jotham fell asleep with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David. His ancestor, his son Ahaz succeeded him. And we'll continue going here. The reign of Ahaz in Judah, 736 to 716. In the 17th year of Pekah, son of Remaliah, Ahaz, son of Jotham, became king of Judah. Ahaz was 20 years old when he came to the throne, and he reigned for 16 years in Jerusalem. He did not do what Yahweh his God regards as right, as his ancestor David had done. He followed the example of the kings of Israel, even causing his son to pass through the fire of sacrifice, also copying the disgusting practices of the nations whom Yahweh had dispossessed for the Israelites. He offered sacrifices and incense on the high places, on the hills, and under every luxuriant tree. Then it was that Rezon, king of Aram, and Pekah, son of Remaliah, king of Israel, launched their campaign against Jerusalem. They besieged it, but could not reduce it. At that time, the king of Edom recovered Elath for Edom. He drove the Judeans out of Elath, and the Edomites occupied it and have been there ever since. Ahaz then sent messengers to Tiglath and Phileser, king of Assyria, and king of Assyria, to say, I am your servant and your son. Come and rescue me from the king of Aram, the king of Israel, who are making war on me. And Ahaz took what silver and gold was to be found in the temple of Yahweh and in the palace treasury, and sent this as a present to the king of Assyria. The king of Assyria granted his request, and marching on Damascus, captured it. He deported its population to Kir and put Rezon to death. When King Ahaz went to Damascus to meet Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, he saw the altar which was in Damascus. King Ahaz then sent a picture and model of the altar with details of its construction to Uriah the priest. Uriah the priest constructed the altar. All the instructions sent by King Ahaz from Damascus were carried out by Uriah the prince before King Ahaz returned from Damascus. When the king arrived from Damascus, he inspected the altar. He approached it and ascended it. And on the altar he made his burnt offering and his oblation. He poured out his libation and sprinkled the blood of his communion sacrifices. The altar which used to stand before Yahweh, he removed from the front of the temple, where it had stood between the new altar and the temple of Yahweh, and placed it at the north side of the new altar. King Ahaz gave this order to Uriah the priest. In future you will present the morning burnt offering, the evening oblation, the king's burnt offering and oblation, the burnt offering, the oblation, and the libations of all the people of the country on the large altar. On it you will pour out all the blood of the burnt offerings and sacrifices. As regards the bronze altar, I shall see to that. Uriah the priest did everything that King Ahaz had ordered. King Ahaz broke up the wheeled stands, removed the cross pieces and the basins from them, and took the bronze sea off the oxen supporting it, and rested it on the stone pavement. And from the temple of Yahweh, in deference to the king of Assyria, he removed the dais, D-A-I-S, for the throne which had been built inside, and the royal entrance on the outside. The rest of the history of Ahaz, his entire career, is this not recorded in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? Then Ahaz fell asleep with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David. His son Hezekiah succeeded him. The reign of Hosea in Israel, 732 to 724. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, Hosea, son of Elah, became king of Israel in Samaria and reigned for 9 years. He did what is displeasing to Yahweh, though not like the preceding kings of Israel. Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, made war on Hosea, who submitted to him and paid him tribute. But the king of Assyria discovered that Hosea was playing a double game with him. He had sent messengers to Sais, to the king of Egypt, and had not, as in previous years, handed over the tribute of the king of Assyria. For this the king of Assyria imprisoned him in chains. The fall of Samaria, 721. The king of Assyria invaded the whole country, and coming to Samaria, laid siege to it for 3 years. In the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria captured Samaria and deported the Israelites to Assyria. He settled them in Halah, on the harbor, a river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes. And I think we'll stop there. And so when we come back, we'll be in chapter 17, verse 7. God willing, I'll see you tomorrow. And as always, I love you.